In the last few months, I've discovered 10 secret habits that the new rich use that nobody else even knows about. After going from zero to financial freedom in my own life, age 24, I've had the opportunity to meet hundreds, literally over 100 people in the new rich, from people that everybody knows about to people that nobody knows about, in Dubai, LA, Vegas, Bali, Thailand, New York, everywhere. And I've realized that the reason they have different results is because they do things differently. Specifically, they do 10 things differently. And in this video, I want to break down each one of those 10 things so that you can implement them in your own life to join the new rich, because it's very much possible. Now, this is going to be a longer video, and I know some of you may have fried attention spans, but the amount of hard work, years of toil, pain and struggle, and opportunities to connect with these people have allowed me to have these insights that not many other people have. So sit back, relax, watch this video and enjoy. Now it's kind of windy out here, so I might head back home and record the rest of the video.
So the first thing is that the new rich deeply understand that the internet has created a divide in the economy. You see, there's the old economy, which is comprised of college and corporations. This was the traditional way of doing things, but it has a few problems. First of all, we all know now that for most degrees, college isn't the best way to gain information quickly. In college, you have a lecturer that may be the best lecturer in your town, in your city, but on the internet, you can listen to the best lecturer in the world. You can now get the best education quickly and for free using the internet. And corporations, they're so structured. You have the top dog, then the manager, then the second layer of manager, and then finally you have the employees. This creates a lot of inefficiency. We know how slow big corporations can get. And as a result of this, the old economy has split, and now we have the new economy, which instead of colleges, we have online education. And instead of corporations, we have the creator economy, peer-to-peer. This is a far more efficient system, and it's growing rapidly as a result of that. Whereas the corporations and colleges are dipping and slowing down and getting smaller, this new economy is blossoming and it's booming. And Warren Buffett says, what boat you're in is more important than how hard you row. So being in a booming industry, of course, makes it far easier to enter the new rich. And this new economy has created a new opportunity of a way of life, a way of living. It's almost a new career path. It's a career path that instead of before, where there was probably 50 different jobs you could get, an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, the list goes on. There's probably like 50 different jobs for you to have. Because the internet has allowed you to connect with almost anybody on the entire planet, what that means is the amount of jobs that there are has increased to an insane degree, which means that instead of trying to fit yourself into a job with preset boundaries, if you're a nurse, you work these hours, you need to learn these skills, this is what you do. If you're a teacher, here's what your role is. The internet has allowed anybody to follow their curiosity, pursue mastery, and at the end of that, there is a career that is perfectly suited to you. And the new rich deeply understand this. They go so hard into this new economy that they are able to develop a career path that fits their lifestyle perfectly. If you want to be able to work when you want to work, where you want to work, if you want to be able to serve this kind of person, follow this specific skill set and do it in this sort of a manner, the internet enables you to do so, and the new rich have capitalized on this before anybody else. But how do you actually do this? How do you find a career path that pays you incredibly well and lets you do what you love? Well, this is another problem that the new rich has solved, which leads me on to the second point. You see, this new economy, because it's so direct, it's a winner-takes-all market. Most people don't get good results. The best people get a lot of results. It's quite a competitive marketplace, which honestly is the way that it should be, because that's how progress is made. And if you look at all of the people in this new economy that are failing, they all look similar. All failed businesses look similar, but all successful businesses look incredibly different. Everybody that's done something incredibly cool has found their own lane. They found their own area where there's untapped demand that they are able to fulfill. But how do you find that untapped demand? Well, the answer is to be authentic. You see, you naturally are unique. All humans are unique. So by being authentic, you're able to find untapped demand because you being unique, there's nobody else that can do what you can do best, just like the way you can. And every single person has something that they're incredible at. This is something that you love doing. It's something that you do regardless of whether you get paid to do it. You're probably rewarded for doing this thing as a child for whatever reason. You got a lot of approval, a lot of praise. You just found it intrinsically pleasurable for you to do as a child. That means that you're very good and you love and you're obsessive about this one specific thing. The new rich find out what that thing is for them quicker than other people do, and they exploit their intrinsic passion for specific topics, skill sets, areas in the creator economy, and that authenticity allows them to be different from everybody else, and by being different from everybody else, they're able to fill that untapped demand, find their own lane, and progress without any competition. You beat competition by being authentic, because nobody compete with you on being you. Which brings me to point number 3. If you watch movies or you read books, what you'll see is there's characters in these movies and books, and these characters are pretty extreme. What happens is, imagine you're playing a video game and you get to select your character's skill level, you get to select your character's attributes. What the authors and the movie directors do to make these characters interesting is they take some of the different parts of this character and they make them super extreme. Maybe this character gets angry really quickly. Maybe this character is super smart. Maybe they're super shy and super introverted. These movie characters make people extreme to make them interesting. And the more new rich that I've met, the more I realize is that almost all of them are like cartoon characters. What I mean is that in some attributes, they're so incredibly extreme in those areas that they almost seem like a fictional character. It's so fascinating to meet these different people, see how different they all are and so incredibly extreme they all are. And the reason that that's the case is because they've taken authenticity to the extreme and they've doubled and tripled down on the things that they're good at. Instead of trying to deal with their weaknesses, which you need to do as a beginner, once you reach a certain point, you can get away with just doubling and tripling down on your strengths because you can find other people that can make up for your weaknesses, which means that they're so insanely good and extreme at certain things that they stand out like a movie character. Which brings me on to point number 4. There's a core lesson in Buddhism that says that humans are desiring creatures, which means that we view a concept of how our life is, and we have another concept for how we think life should be. And in between how life is and how we want life to be, desire is the gap that bridges those two things. And this desire causes humans a lot of suffering, but it also causes humans to make a lot of progress. And what these new rich do is they position their current life as their audience's desired life. And they position their past life as their audience's current life. So they tell their audience, which is probably true for most of them, I used to be where you are now, and I am now where you want to be. And what that does is the audience now immediately pays them attention and potentially even pays them money because they believe if this person got from where I am now to where I want to get to, they must know how they can get me from where I am now to where I want to get to. So they use lifestyle marketing. They position themselves and their products not as products, but as solutions to their audience's problems. They don't sell a product, they sell a transformation. And they make it very clear to their audience that I used to be where you are now, and I am now where you want to be. Therefore, you should listen to me and pay attention. And it works incredibly well. Now, those 4 points that I've mentioned, they're all talking about you as the character in a video game. They're all fixed and dependent on who you are as a human being. But you have to understand that this great online game that we're all playing is ever-changing. There's things that are constantly moving. So as well as just optimizing yourself, as these new rich do, they also realize that they need to broaden their horizons and start looking at their environment as it's constantly evolving and spot opportunities and leverage points within that environment, which brings me on to point number 5. As we all know, down to basic economics, business is a game of supply and demand. If you are able to do things that have high demand that people want, but low supply that nobody else is doing, which partially comes through authenticity as we've talked about, that's the lane that you can win. But in this constantly changing environment, there's always different opportunities that have varying levels of demand and varying levels of supply. And how you allocate your attention is one of the highest leverage things for you to focus on. If you pick an opportunity vehicle that has low demand and high supply, lots of competition, it's going to be almost impossible. Even the best entrepreneur will really struggle in that situation. Whereas if you're able to spot an opportunity that has high demand but low supply, you can be an incredibly bad entrepreneur, stumble your way around, but still make significant amounts of progress. The opportunity vehicle you're in matters more than the skills that you have. And the new rich leverage this by catching trends. See, what is a trend? A trend is something that has low supply, low demand, but you predict that the demand is going to be increasing over time and the supply won't be catching up to the demand for a certain period of time. That's what a trend is. And in my own life, my YouTube channel exploded thanks to the dopamine detoxing trend. What happened here was that I saw on Reddit a couple of people starting to talk about dopamine detoxing. The demand was starting to increase. I saw on LinkedIn somebody made a blog post about dopamine detoxing that was performing pretty well. But then I saw on YouTube that nobody was talking about this. So I saw the demand was increasing and it was starting to grow, and I saw there was low supply. So I went all in on dopamine detoxing and made a 6-part video series. It ended up with over 10 million views and it absolutely exploded the YouTube channel. The new rich are constantly on the lookout for what is the next trend for me to ride on to make progress. But when most people find a trend, they sort of make a little bit of progress in it, but they're unable to really generate the financial freedom that they want. In reality, one trend that you hit well can generate financial freedom in a very short period of time, if you employ the next thing that the new rich are always focused on. You see, in order for you to make significant progress in a short period of time, well, let me just break this down more simply. What does new rich mean? New and rich. What rich is it's a large amount of outputs of money. And what new is it's a small amount of inputs of time. So you have a small amount of inputs of time and a large amount of outputs of money. The only way that a human being can do that is with leverage. All of the new rich use leverage to an insane degree, specifically the internet. The internet allows you to make one tweet that could reach 1 million people. Whereas before, for you to reach 1 million people, you'd have to go and speak with 1 million people. It would take years and years and years and years and years. And before, the way that the old economy worked is on leverages like people and money. But to get money, people have to give you money, and to get people to work for you, another form of leverage, people have to give you permission. So these are permission form of leverage, which is very hard to get as a young beginner. The internet has allowed for permissionless leverage, specifically through content and code. And shout out to Naval, who really pioneered this idea. The new rich all leverage content or code to make significant amount of money. And before, in the old economy, it used to be blue collar versus white collar. Now, in the new economy, it's more like leveraged versus unleveraged. And when you combine authenticity with leverage, what happens is you have a very unique individual that normally wouldn't cause much of an impact. But when you add the leverage into the equation, their personality gets magnified and exploded to a huge degree. That's why personal brands all look very different. But the thing that most people don't understand is that they view money as making money. But unless you're the central bank, you can't make money. The more accurate phrasing is, how do you get money? And how do you get people to give you money? And in order for that to happen, people need to be in the equation. So in order for you to get into this new rich, there must be other people involved. You can't do this solo mission. Other people have to give you money. But how do you get people to give you money? How do you get somebody to willingly give you money? One of the best things that the new rich do is they build movements. It's not just about them. It's about a common problem that they are helping other people solve. They bind together a group of people all in search of solving this common problem, them as the leader, and they build this strong movement, and then the people in the movement happily give them money. So they all build movements. And at this point, you may be thinking, whoa, this is a lot of stuff. We've just covered 7 habits that the new rich use. How am I supposed to be implementing all of this? Well, the next thing that the new rich all do is they constantly are trying to figure out the meta. What are the current tactics in this great online game that we're all playing that work incredibly effectively? How do you find these incredible tactics? Well, you find the people that are implementing them incredibly well, the winners of the great online game, and you do whatever you possibly can to learn from them. Not a single person out of all of the new rich that I've ever found did not have a mentor. They all had somebody, whether it was through courses that they've bought, whether it's through YouTubers that they've watched, whether it's through physical real-life mentors that they have, but 99% of them, it's all through the internet. They picked somebody that had the life that they want to live, and they did what they told them to do. Because as a beginner, it's so easy to do the wrong things. It's so easy to waste time. If you find a mentor who's been there, done that, and you do what they tell you to do, you can make progress far quicker than most other people can. And habit number 9, even if you do all of these things right, most people still fail because they don't put the amount of energy needed for success to happen. Every person in the New Rich that I've met are obsessed. They get incredibly obsessed over something that just dwarfs them, encapsulates their entire reality. They love this thing, or they're so excited by this thing that they become obsessed. Every thought of every day, every action that they take is all focused towards this specific outcome. Otherwise, it's impossible to make such incredible progress in such short periods of time. To make any significant progress, to go from nothing to financial freedom in a short period of time, it takes a lot of energy. Even if you learn from the right mentors, even if you focus on the trends, it still takes a lot of energy. And the only way a single human being can output that much energy is if they give it their absolutely everything and they become all in completely obsessed. But the last thing that you want to be doing, which leads me on to point number 10, and there will be a bonus one at the end, is just trying to be obsessed. Okay, I gotta go to work. I've got to think about this thing all the time. The first thing that you want to do is clean up your life. Get your sleep in order. I've slept for 9 hours every single night, 99% of the time for the past 4 years. Clean up your diet. Make sure you're exercising. Get the fundamentals right. Advanced people just do the fundamentals well. That's all it is. And playing this great online game, trying to join the new rich, you're competing against a lot of people. You have to view yourself as a cognitive athlete. Take this seriously. There's no reward for half-assing it. There's no reward for trying and failing. You have to optimize the basics if you want to make a lot of progress. Sleep, diet, exercise. That's it. If you optimize those things, you will be ahead of 95% of the competition. And don't try to do anything too crazy. Just sleep for a long time and just eat clean food and just move your body a few times a week. Just do the basics and that's it. Everything else will become significantly easier. And if you do all of those things, which leads me on to point number 11, that the new rich all do, is lifestyle design. If you get these 10 things right, you will be able to sit down, think of your dream lifestyle. What do I do in the morning? How do I spend my time? How do I feel? Who's around me? What are the objects that I have? What is this life's work that I'm pursuing? And you will be able to create it into reality. The internet has enabled anybody who takes this stuff seriously to create a lifestyle that previously did not exist. But you have to lock in. You have to take this seriously. You have to make this your life's work, and incredible things can happen in a short period of time if you do all of those things.
All right, guys, that is it from me. Sending you love. Hopefully you got at least one insight from this video, and I will see you in the next one.